Hello goat lovers, today we are going to talk about the different types of breeding and the pros and cons. Hello goat lovers, this is Crystal with Blue Cactus Dairy Goats. What started with 4 chickens and 2 goats quickly grew into a lifestyle. So we moved, got more land, and of course, more goats. Follow our adventures as we grow our herd, our food, and our family. So the different breeding methods we're going to go over are artificial insemination, or AI, drive-by breeding, and pen breeding. So first we're going to talk about the pros of artificial insemination. So with AI, it is just that. You are impregnating your goat with a straw of sperm that has been collected from a buck. So some of the pros to that would be, obviously, if you are performing artificial insemination on your goat, you don't necessarily have to keep a buck. A lot of people don't want bucks, don't want to feed them, don't want the extra cost, don't want the extra care, and of course bucks can smell a little bit. So that would be one of the pros. Another pro to it would be being able to bring in really good lines to your herd. So if you purchased a straw of sperm from a really good buck, which typically those are the ones who are collected, then you would be able to again pull those lines into your herd. Another pro would be, say if you yourself had a really nice buck and you wanted to collect their sperm so that, you know, when they pass you can still use that buck's sperm in your herd to improve your herd. Lucky, for instance, this guy back there, he throws really pretty kids, and he helps with teat size, which I love. You know, it's something in Nigis that's really hated on. And a buck's lifespan is about 8 to 10 years. They live a really hard life. So to be able to keep, and he's approaching 5, which makes me a little sad. So anyway, that would be a benefit. If you have a really nice buck, you can also keep their sperm and live on, you know, as long as the sperm is collected properly and held in the tanks properly. I mean, they will live and live beyond us. So now let's talk about the pros of drive-by breedings. Drive-by breeding just simply means you're not going to house your does and bucks together. You are still using the buck, but you're going to watch the heat cycle of your doe, and then when you believe she's in heat and ready, you're going to take the buck out, let them do the deed, and put them back in their separate pens. That's what drive-by breeding is. So one of the pros would be, if you're not housing your does and bucks together, you know, you can still interact with your does. That is something I like to do daily, is go in the pen with my does and interact with them, pet them, love on them. And if you're penning them together, the buck, you know, he's smelly, he's stinky, so he wants to rub on you. So one of the pros to drive-by breedings is not housing them together. So another pro would be, obviously, you don't have to keep a buck. If you're going to do drive-by breedings, you can lease a buck, you know, from somebody, and if you can find anybody, and you know, you can also bring in other lines each year if you are in a community where people are actually leasing their bucks. So again, the cost and everything and the care for them, the smelliness, a lot of people are into that. A lot of people actually can't even keep a buck where they live. So that is one of the perks as well. So the third method of breeding would be pen breeding. So pen breeding simply is you're going to house your buck with the does for an extended period of time and literally let nature take its course. So some pros to pen breeding. The reason we do it mainly, the most important pro, is that you are definitely going to get your does bred. Unless there's something wrong with your doe nutritionally or otherwise, health-wise, you know, your goat just can't have babies, they will absolutely get bred. The buck will make sure of that. Another pro is going to be, you're going to have some happy bucks if you pen breed. You know, bucks live for their does. That's all they can think about. They live hard lives, they fight all the time, and it's all over the does. So being able to house them, you know, here we do it for 2 months, so however long you house them for, but allowing your bucks to be bucks for an extended period of time is also a pro. So one of the cons to AI breeding, artificial inseminating, is going to be you have to be extremely precise with timing. A doe will go into heat every 19 to 21 days, and her heat cycle can be from 16 hours to 36 hours, just depending on the doe. So you're going to have to know exactly when your goat is in heat. Now, a goat in that whole time period is not open, or she's not ovulating. She isn't able to get bred that whole, say, 36 hours. So again, you're going to want to try to catch it at the end so that you know she's open and ovulating and can be bred when you do the AI. So another con would be it could get costly. It might not be as cost effective as initially thought to be. So you can purchase straws from good herds, just depending on the buck, of course. You know, they can run from $5 to $50 or more per straw, again, depending on the buck. And then after you have the straws, where are you going to house these straws? They have to be housed in a nitrogen tank, which again, are you going to buy your own, which is $500 to $1,000 or more, and continue to fill it with the nitrogen? Or are you going to store your straws somewhere else and, you know, rent a slot in somebody's tank? Could be a rancher, could be you know, at the vet. So, but that again, that's another cost. So anything to do with the vet equals cost, probably quite a bit of cost. So not only would you maybe have to store your straws at the vet, but who's going to be performing the AI on your goat? If you go to the vet, more than likely they're going to give you an injection. Give your goat an injection to bring them into heat, and then you'll have to take your goat back to the vet and have them perform the AI. Now, again, that could get pretty costly as well if you're not the one doing it and you're having ranchers come out or somebody who has experience with it. They're probably going to want money to come out to your ranch and take their time as well. So, again, there's going to be cost, not just the cost of the straw. Now let's discuss the cons of drive-by breeding. First, if you're going to be doing drive-by breedings, you know, you're going to have to be precise, like with AI. You're going to have to make sure you know all your animals' heat cycles. Some heat cycles are a lot harder to detect in some does. Some are not very outward with it, and it's really hard to tell unless the buck is actually with them where they smell it. And some does are wanting to climb fences. So again, you just have to know your animal. But again, you're going to need to be precise. Sperm will live for 24 hours in the doe. But say you hit it right when you came and did a drive-by right as the doe came into her heat cycle, and she wasn't until 36 hours before she ovulated or became open, then you could have missed that opportunity and she probably wasn't bred. Another con, if you're doing drive-by breedings and you don't own a buck, you're doing the drive-by because you don't house a buck, well, then you're going to hopefully be able to find somebody that is willing to stud their buck out to you, which we don't, and I'll leave a video, actually. I will link a video so that you guys can see why. But, you know, as well, on top of that, you're bringing, what's the scenario? You're bringing your animal to somebody else's farm. Are you going to leave your animal there, or are you going to bring the buck to your house, which is another animal on the farm? So finding somebody to do it is not very easy from experience that I've heard from other farmers. So that is another con. You're always looking for a buck and somebody willing to do it. Is it a healthy buck? Is it a good buck? Or are you just finally, I gotta have something and want to breed your animal? If you are wanting to breed for show, then you're going to be in the same time frame people are using their bucks for breeding for show, like us. So another con is if you have to house a buck, feed a buck, you know, you're only using him for a short period out of the year, and say for 2 months, and then 10 months you're feeding another animal or two, and they smell, and the extra care and everything else, some may feel that is a con. So some of the cons to pen breeding, one of them is of course going to be the fact that, again, you're housing bucks. It's extra feed, it's extra cost, they do smell, and they can get pretty loud as well during breeding season. So if you live close to neighbors, that might not be the best thing. But yeah, housing bucks. And they really stink. Also, if you're keeping bucks, they're gonna need a companion, because you can't have just one lonely buck. So you'll need either another buck or a wether to keep them company. And bucks are a lot harder to handle than a doe is, so they're not as cooperative ever. And again, when you have to handle them, you stink bad. So here on the Blue Cactus Dairy Goat Ranch, we breed for show. And breeding for show means it is on a time crunch. So you have to make sure that your goats are bred when the shows come up, which is April, May, and June. Not only that they were able to get bred, that they are in their peak milk production and looking fabulous. I do like to win in the shows, so it is, again, time is of essence when we are breeding our animals. It's all revolved around the shows we're about to come to. So I don't AI. Currently, that's not something we have tried. I do think it has a lot of perks. In the future, I would love to try AI. Again, like I said, I'd love to keep some straws of Lucky, and you know, potentially bring in some amazing champion lines as well. So in the future, that is something I do absolutely intend on at least attempting in our herd. As far as drive-by breedings, not something we ever do. Solely, you know, obviously, again, I want to ensure that my goats are bred, and putting them in the pen together, definitely, absolutely, they are going to be bred. I don't have to continually handle the buck to bring them out, and, you know, to each doe. We have a large herd, so that would be a lot of handling the bucks as each doe goes into heat. And on top of that, the bucks are happy to stay with the does for a couple of months out of the year. Again, it's what they live for. They only think of the does. So, and we love our bucks here. We don't mind housing our bucks. They have really funny personalities, and making our bucks happy, I like that. So what we do here, what works best for our farm, is pen breeding. Again, consistency, ensuring that our does will be bred and all ready at the same 4-week period or so, and ready for shows. So thank you guys so much for watching. If this video helped you out, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share it if you think it'll help somebody else, and see you guys again soon. There is one con to pen breeding that I forgot to mention. It's the worst. I can't be with my girls. So we do have the wethers and lodi for that.